Hello, everybody. Tania here, your nutritionist and fitness coach with Fit Nutrition. How's everybody doing today in our 8 weeks group, our 8 weeks family? Hope you are all doing well and happy Wednesday to all. So, all right, today we're going to dive in and talk about our thoughts, right? Because our thoughts really do dictate and determine our actions and where we go with all of that. So I just wanted to dive in because I had a really great conversation with a client today, and we were talking just about different beliefs and thoughts. Thoughts become things, and words and all of that. And it's really important to note what we are thinking and how that's affecting us in our health and where we're going with our program. So, all right, so let me just dive right into that. I've got a few notes here that I wanted to share with all of you. So let me know where you're watching in from. If you're watching live, thank you so much. I know this is a different time than usual, but I had something that I had this afternoon, and so I didn't want to miss because I know this is an important topic. So thank you for being patient and joining in. Let me know where you're watching from. I always love to see where people are watching in, and let me know your thoughts about your thoughts determining your actions. I'd love to hear your feedback on this and what you've determined as you are living this approach, learning your PFCs, living with food freedom, really, right? There's a lot of you in this group that have been living this lifestyle for a long time. Congratulations. High 10 to you, because we can just do this anytime, anywhere, in any situation. And then for all of our new people who are just joining us, because we've had quite a few lately, which is fantastic. I love that. Welcome. And, maybe you'll pick up a few things and something will twig with the way your thoughts have been dictating what you've been doing in the past for things that are not serving your body. And maybe that's probably, maybe that's why you're not getting the results that you're hoping to get. So, all right, let's just dive in. So our thoughts and beliefs and our beliefs about those thoughts determine our actions, right? So we've all heard the sayings, as the mind goes, the body follows. And as a man thinketh, so is he. And what you think about, you bring about. There's all of these things. And typically they're used in, positive, like personal development and, the rah-rah, you can do this kind of thing. But a lot of times we kind of leave out our health when we're talking about that. And honestly, if we don't have our health, we can't really fully engage and participate and give our all to all of those other things, right? So we want to make sure we got our health on point first. So all of those quotes, right, as we think about, we bring about, but even the science of epigenetics. So Dr. Bruce Lipton, if you don't know him, he's got a book called The Biology of Belief. It's a little bit dry and sciencey, but it has a ton of information. If you're not a reader or you don't want to dive into something that's that sciencey, but you want to know about it, you can find him on YouTube. He's got a lot of great videos. A lot of them are really old ones from his teachings a long time ago, because he's been talking about this for a long time, but it really will help clarify. So the science of epigenetics has been able to show that the thoughts, like in quantitative, like in sciencey ways, that our thoughts, that what we think about and what our mind believes to be true, whatever that may be, good, bad, whatever it is, your body will work towards making a way for that thing to happen. Okay, so that's important to note about that, right? That what we think about really will come about and make things happen for you. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in not so good way. So it really gives us pause to think about what we should be thinking and focusing on. I mean, so for example, with our health, right? People are saying, it's cold and flu season again. I just know I'm going to get sick. Oh my gosh, I get sick every year. Oh my gosh, every year, every fall, every spring. And then what happens? They get sick. I used to be that person. I used to say, oh my gosh, I get sick at least twice a year. I'm going to get sick. I know I'm getting sick in the fall. I know I'm getting sick around my birthday in the spring. A lot of times I get sick at Christmas. And what would happen? All of these things would come to pass. They'd happen. But when we focus it the other way, we can make some changes. The other thing is, I've always had a hard time losing weight. Blank disease runs in my family. So, I'm probably going to end up with diabetes or high cholesterol or whatever it happens to be. There's a good chance I'm going to get that. Not so much. When we look back and we talk about that science of epigenetics, if you keep saying that and if you keep focusing on that, that makes a greater chance for it to happen. So the negative examples, that's a negative example, but it also works in the positive. So things maybe like, I know that if I just stick with it, like maybe for a gym example, or your food program, getting your food on point, I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to see improvement. I'm going to have more energy. And you will, because you're going to keep focusing in on doing that. Okay. And we know that those small changes that we make consistently over time yield the huge results. And I've used this example probably ad nauseum. Sorry if you're getting it for the umpteenth time. But if you've ever built something, so think about building a deck or a dock or something like that, kids' playhouse, and you have these long 2x4s, right? You start out at one end and you square it off, and maybe it's not quite square, and you're like, it's okay. It's fine. No one's going to notice that. But you nail the frame together and you stand back and take a look and you go, oh, it's a little, I'm not quite happy with that. I can see where it's off. So you got to take it out and line it up again. And that's because those little tiny increments, you don't notice it at first, but when you stand back, it's a huge difference. That's kind of the analogy with our health, right? You might not notice those things every single day that you're doing or not doing to serve your body or not serve your body, but just know that if you're consistent, you will get the results of being consistent in those things. Okay. So whether that's positive or not so good, you're still going to get the result at the end. So, people will say, the people with the disease in the family example, right? So say heart disease is in my family, but I know that putting good things in my body and doing the things that I can to make sure that I'm healthy and strong as possible. So I probably won't have to deal with as much of that. That's going to take you a lot farther mentally, physically, and just with your energy in the day, focusing on that. It's not to say that we shouldn't just ignore things that happen in our families or, all of that. But that being said, and this cartoon illustrates it really well. I wish I had the visual so I could show it to you. Okay. I wish I had the visual, but just picture this. It was an old cartoon in the newspaper years ago, and it had the doctor and the patient, and he's been checking him out. He's got his little book there, and he says, well, it's not that high cholesterol runs in your family. It's just that nobody in your family runs. So basically he's saying, if you just keep accepting that high cholesterol runs in your family and you don't do anything about it, obviously you're going to be predisposed to it. There's a higher chance of you getting it. But that even being said, we now know that our DNA and the stuff that we get from our families, it only dictates about 20% of the outcome of our health. Okay, 20%. That means you've got 80% control over here, which is huge. So if you have 80% control at least over the outcome of your health, doesn't that motivate you to dive in and just really do more? I would hope it does. I would hope it really does. So, whoops, sorry. Excuse me about that. The things from working at home. If that was my puppy, someone came in the door. All right. So our thoughts, words, and actions ring true in all the areas of our health. So all of those 6 spinning plates. Remember the 6 spinning plates? Okay, just let's refresh here. I'm just going to pull them up. All right, our 6 spinning plates. So if you're new, you might not have seen these. If you're one of our Fit family, our 8 Weeks members, you would have seen this before for sure. So our 6 spinning plates. Now, plates, because we always talk about food, right? So nutrition, exercise, sleep, water, stress, and supplements to fill in your gaps. Now think about the guy at the circus. And you've all seen this, right? Maybe on TV or maybe in person. It's kind of cool in person. You see the guy, he's got all the plates up. They're on those long poles, right? And they're spinning. And when he can keep them up, it's a great thing, right? It's like a beautiful orchestra. It's all going really well. One starts to wobble. He's got to get under that and line it up again, or it's going to come crashing down. It's probably going to take a couple other ones with him, right? But if he gets underneath that, he can control it. And then when he wants to stop, he can control it and pull them down as he wants, right? He has control when he's doing that. Okay, just like with our health. So as opposed to diets, they have, not all these components are focused on. They're only focused on your weight and the number on the scale, maybe the inches. They might give you a little tip on having protein, but basically they're not giving you all that you need. And so when something happens and you get a plateau or you stop getting results, or you are hanging on by your fingernails and you just can't go anymore because what they're asking you to do is unreasonable, and then you ask for options and how to maintain this later, There isn't an option, and just kind of cuts you off and leaves you hanging like a bad relationship. It's like one and done, they're gone. And so then you're like, oh my gosh. And it's like all your plates came crashing down and you have to start all over again. Whereas when we're focusing here and we know we have all of these 6 individual items, when something externally comes at you, maybe it's, a life event happens. And so then your stress plate is a bit wobbly. That's going to affect the other areas of your life, but that it's not going to all crash down if you get underneath that and you just support that a little bit more at the moment. And then you can carry on and keep going. Okay. So, I'm going to, stopping the share there. Okay. So that being said, when you have all those plates up there, it's sometimes those long-held incorrect thoughts and beliefs that has us telling ourselves to do the things that are not serving our bodies, right? Like trying those crazy diets out of desperation, maybe because you don't know, you don't have the education or you haven't thought about it, no one's told you about it, to actually try something that's going to serve your body. So we're going to take our nutrition plate from those 6 plates, since food is really our foundation. Okay, so people who struggle with weight, most often they have some sort of issue with the amount of food they think they should be eating. All right, that's you. And that can be, okay, did you count calories, or were you a calorie counter? Yeah, years ago, I used to have all these little sticky notes on my counter and I would count them all up. And then I would stop at an arbitrary number, thinking, okay, that's where I needed to be today in order to get the results that I need, or to keep my results, right? I'm working out like crazy at the gym and I'm counting them all. Okay. Now, that would be my number, regardless of whether I did a workout that day, or whether I slept in and had a lazy day, or whether I went on a hike, or whether I was, you get the point, right? Whereas, think about it, your body, is going to require different amounts and different things based on the demands you put on it. So I think about your car, and the driveway is your vehicle that drives you around town. Your body's your vehicle that drives you through life. Now, when you get in your car, it's going to take you more fuel to drive from here to the next city than it does to drive from your house down to the mall, right? So it just makes sense that you are fueling accordingly. But people, when we have that belief that because you want to lose weight, or because you want to hit a certain goal, or whatever it is, and you have this long held standing belief that in order to do that, I must limit and restrict and pull it out, and I need to eat less or stop eating. Feel that, stop eating altogether and just eat a teeny weeny bit in the day, thinking that that's what's going to get them the results that they need, until you get to that number on the scale. My Nana used to do that. So she very often wanted to lose 20 pounds. And I say very often, because not that she had hundreds of pounds to lose, but she lost that same 20 pounds, and then 20, and then maybe 30, and then back to 20, and whatever, over and over and over again, because she would just, stop eating, maybe eat like 1 egg and a cup of coffee all day or something. And then, do that for several weeks. She'd be down to get rid of her 20 pounds. And then she'd be like, great, I can go back to normal. Well, if her normal wasn't something that was serving her body, that's going to maintain her weight, she has this belief that all she has to keep doing is, pulling it out. And then she's wondering, well, why doesn't it work? Right? Because it's an incorrect belief that she's holding that will get her the results that she needed to stay. Okay. So I hope you guys are tracking with me. If you're tracking with me, drop a number 1 in the chat. Say tracking. Okay. So now, of course, just like my Nana, you would notice a drop in weight if you did that at first, of course, but never in the long term, right? Because thinking that you can lose weight only by removing or depriving or counting calories, that's that incorrect belief that we talked about, likely from way back, sort of manifested maybe like a chronic dieting and disordered eating. It comes from way back. I mean, I've worked with people who have been, on Weight Watchers as children. I worked with a few people like that their parents either put them on, or they just grew up in that dieting household, that they just figured that that's what they needed to do. So as a young teenager, or a tween even, they would start things like Weight Watchers and stuff like that. And that's really not serving their body. It's not teaching them about nutrition. It's not teaching you about how to balance and how to fuel your body and give it what it needs, right? So the only way, so it's an incorrect belief. So coming back to that, the same can be true for those who believe that, eating a massive portion at one meal is going to tide you over. So say, for example, breakfast. I'm going to eat this massive breakfast because I'm going to be way too busy for the rest of my morning. I'll probably have to skip through lunch and I won't be home until dinner or late afternoon when I can grab something on the way home, right? So there's that belief that if I eat this massive portion here, it's going to carry me through for X number of hours. Also an incorrect belief, because our body can only metabolize so much food at a time. Okay. So my mom used to do that. I remember often her saying, yeah, okay, I'm going to eat this big, eat a big breakfast because, I got a busy day. I've got all this stuff to do and I won't be back until whatever time, because she had lots of stuff to do that day or something. And at the time I never thought about it. I was a little kid. We would have snacks, whatever, but it was just that thing that kept coming back to me as an adult saying, oh yes. Okay. Well, that was, incorrect and imbalanced. And then a few years back, I remember my mom saying, well, she started subscribing more to the PFC and putting things together. And then she gave me a call and she said, I've been doing that PFC thing. And then, I had a bulgy stomach and now it's gone. And I said, good for you. So all she did was take that amount of food that, she needed in a day and broke it up into small pieces throughout the day, as opposed to trying to jam it all in once in the morning and jam it all in once in the evening and then be ravenous in between, which is not serving us. Because just a little side note here, if you've ever had that gnawing hunger, you feel like you want to, chew your arm off, that's your body eating its own muscle, because your body needs your brain needs a protein source to turn into glucose to come up for food for the brain. And if you don't feed it something, it needs to find that source from somewhere, and it will take it from your body. It won't take it from your stored fat. It's going to take it from your muscle. So when your body finally releases the stored fat, then there's not, like, the muscle is supposed to take it up and burn it as energy. But if you've burned off the muscle, there's not enough there to get it done, and your metabolism slows down. And then we say, well, I'm over 30 or I'm over 40 or I'm over 50 or whatever it is. And so my metabolism is so slow. Again, it comes back to that belief, right? That it's because my metabolism is slow, so I'm not getting results. As opposed to, let's take a look at what your body needs, what you've been doing or not doing, and how we can serve it. And let's change some of those thoughts and beliefs to really realize that you can make a difference and you can change. So at any age, and just so you know, I've worked with people from the ages of 18 to 86, and they've all been able to get that metabolism turned on again, to reverse that, it's really, really slow and sluggish, to get that going again. Now, of course, the longer you've been doing dieting, depriving, counting calories, whatever it is, or, binging and then, depriving or not eating, that's going to, you didn't get to where you were overnight, is my point. And it's going to take a little bit of time to catch up for your body to trust you. You have to build a trust relationship with your body, just as a side note here too, as well. And so blood sugar stabilization, what we all teach in here, what you've seen me talk about, what you've, seen in the videos and everything, where we're eating our PFCs, our proteins, fats, and carbs together in those right portions and the right frequencies throughout the day. That is what your body needs. That's where we were born into. Think of a baby. A baby's first born, it's going to eat breast milk or formula. And what's in breast milk or formula? A protein, fat, and a carb together. When a baby wakes up, doesn't skip breakfast, it's hungry. Same with small children, right? They're hungry. And what do? They eat till they're satisfied, and then they cry again or ask for food again when they're hungry, which is 3 to 4 hours throughout the day. And they keep doing that. We didn't change on the inside. Our components didn't change. All the parts are still the same. We're just a bigger human. So the way we take in and metabolize food hasn't changed. So if we go back to that and we put our body into that nice zone, into the zone again, and I'm just going to bring this up again for a refresher for our new people. When we put our bodies into that fat burning zone, right here in the middle, it's called homeostasis. It's a fancy word for balance. But when we put that there, we put our body here by eating within that first hour of when we get up, by eating in threes, our proteins, fats, and carbs together every 3 to 4 hours throughout the day, you keep your body in that zone right there. It keeps your blood sugar stable. It balances your hormones. It allows your body to naturally release stored fat, protects your lean muscle, eliminates cravings, increases energy, helps with sleep. All your organs and systems are functioning better. You have more clarity, more focus and attention, less brain fog. Your gut health is better. Your immune function is better. I could go on and on and on. So there's a whole lot of great things that come when you stabilize your blood sugar. Okay. So, and then when you can dive in and know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So as I'm educating here, hopefully that can change some of your thoughts and beliefs that you held around food and what you were doing or not doing that may have been holding you back in getting the results that you want. Okay. So, so I hope that makes sense to people. If that makes sense, drop a little, high five in the chat there and let me know if you've been able to take away some of what I'm talking about here today, and you think that you can apply it now to your life, to your situation, maybe your next meal even, right? If you can focus in on that with your nutrition and how can you apply it there. So you can apply your thoughts and beliefs into all of those spinning plates. Today, we just talked about the nutrition, but you can apply that in anywhere with all of your beliefs. I really invite you to think, if something's not serving you, if you're not getting the results that you want, check your plates, right? Think about all of those spinning plates. Where are you? What are you doing? What beliefs do you have? What are, your thoughts and beliefs around what you're doing and what you are hearing that you should be doing for each of those categories? And see if you can't make some tweaks and changes to change that, thought process. Because as we change our actions a little bit, as we speak about it a little bit differently, as we dive in and get some more information, as we get affirmation on what's correct, we can then change that thought pattern, that thought process to now, come up as the things that we should be doing and implementing on a daily basis to get the results we want, because we're serving our body. So I hope that helped everyone today. Thank you for joining me here on Fit Nutrition Podcast here in our 8 weeks group. Come back next Wednesday. Every Wednesday I'm here. Usually it's 1 o'clock. Today was noon. Thank you for your patience in that time change there. So if you have questions, please drop them in the comments below. I will come back and check them. I'm not techie enough to do them on the fly while you guys if you're asking while we're going through this, but I will always come back and answer your questions. If you have any thoughts or requests for topics that you'd like me to address in future podcasts, please also put those in the comments and tag me. Make sure you tag me so that I don't miss them. I would love to help you out with that, and I'd love to hear your suggestions. So thanks again for joining me today, you guys. You have a wonderful Wednesday. See you back here next week.